With us right now is the former chairman of President Bush's Council of Economic Advisors, Ed Lazear, on a lot of cross currents going on today, not the least of which is Republicans taking another stab at that spending package, I guess, Ed, including the president wanting to pare a few $1 billion from it, about $15 billion in spending from that. On the same day, we're getting hints from Kevin Brady that he wants to look at a sort of a second phase 2 tax cut, if you will. So they're not giving up on that fight. What do you make of where they stand?
Well, the expenditure side is obviously the important thing to be considering right now. We're growing spending at record rates, and that's going to be our long-term problem. If you look at the Congressional Budget Office's projections out for a couple of decades, what they're saying is that current expenditure growth patterns, we're going to be running a deficit of about 10% per year. If we were to do that and we tried to close that gap by raising taxes, that would be devastating in terms of economic growth. So we need to be thinking long-term rather than short-term. Yeah, any movement that we can make in that direction, of course, is positive, but the kinds of things that are being talked about right now are about 1% at best of total government expenditures. So it's really pretty minimal relative to where we need to be.
And by the way, we're talking about what the president wants to do, $15 billion paired off a $1.3 trillion spending measure. That's like me saying, all right, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and that's it. The diet's over. I mean, the fact is, everyone knows I have to lose 7 pounds, so that, I guess you didn't get that. Anyway, no, but I'm wondering, where is this going? I mean, you followed it and been worried about these deficits piling up, and Republicans are supposed to be serious fiscal stewards. They've blown through the debt, and then Democrats have a nerve to point the finger at them and say, look what you did with the debt, and they blew the debt. Does anyone think that this is serious?
Well, again, I would say that most of the progress needs to be made on constraining the growth of expenditures. Small cuts right now, again, you know, they're a step in the right direction, but they're not going to have much of an effect. We know where the problem is.
They cannot even do that.
That's
and
right.
The last time someone tried, you know, you think about Paul Ryan, but God bless him, all he was trying to do was slow the growth of Medicare, and he was portrayed in ads pushing Granny off a cliff.
That's absolutely right. Usually, the progress is made when you reach crisis levels. So think back to the 80s when we did some changes, made some changes on Social Security. That was because we felt that we were going to run out of money. That's possible, but again, I think there is some progress that could be made if Congress were to look at this more seriously and think about rules that would constrain them. Not a balanced budget. That won't work. You can balance a budget and still be spending a huge amount of money if you tax at the same rate. So what they need to do is think about growth in expenditures over time, total expenditures, and put some constraints on that, and then fight out how they're going to allocate those expenditures. So I would say that's the biggest promise for the future. Again, as you point out, look, none of these things are politically easy, but they're politically so important that it needs to be made a priority. If you think back to 2012, it was the last time, almost the only time, I ever heard budget issues being made central to a presidential campaign. But we kind of forgot about that. We need to get back to those issues, I think.
Yeah, and I believe Republicans didn't have a good year that year. The ones who espoused it. Right? All right. Ed, thank you very, very much. Ed Lazear, always good seeing you.
Thank you.
Good read on this. And Ed was ahead of the curve
on
this a long, long time ago. But I don't know if anyone's listening, because I don't care if you're red or blue. We are losing a lot of green when we do this. It's just a fact.